My sad story. My name is Zimal and I am from Pakistan. I want to tell my sad story because I want people, and especially young girls, to be more careful when opportunities knock on their door. I would not be the person I am if some people were less cruel, greedy, and more honest and respectful. I grew up in a small village suffering from the consequences of the constant fighting between Pakistan and India. My father was killed in the war and my mother had to raise 5 kids. I was the oldest, so I was growing up believing that I had equal responsibility as my mother to help my young brothers and sisters to grow up and to go to school. I was a bright student according to my teachers, but I gave up on school and stayed at home to clean the house, to cook, and to wash the clothes so that my mother could go to the small town nearby and work as a cleaning lady in a rather cheap small motel. One day she was sick, so she asked me to replace her. There I met a very kind European lady. She told me that she represented a big company which helps young people from Pakistan to have a better life somewhere in Europe, away from the war, poverty, and danger. The company would offer me the opportunity to study and to work at the same time. It sounded very promising, and I was very enthusiastic. She asked me to keep it secret from my family, because she was certain that the conservative small society I was living in would not accept such a big change in the life of a girl, especially at my age. I was an ambitious 15-year-old girl. My beautiful physical appearance proved to me my curse, and I wanted to grasp the opportunity, thinking that if I became a teacher, I would come back home to support my family and teach the orphan kids of my hometown. So I packed up a few things and left in the middle of the night. I met that lady in town and she asked me to get into a car which was driven by a man called Joe. He was very friendly. He offered me food and a drink as well as a small bag with new clothes and a pair of shoes. Everything seemed to be well planned. Joe drove for many hours till we reached a petrol station. He asked me to get out of the car and go to the little restaurant which was next to the station. We had a nice meal and I tasted alcohol for the first time. I did not like it, but he insisted. I felt dizzy and I almost fainted when I found myself back into his car. He drove a few miles away from the station and then he stopped in the middle of nowhere. He forced me to get out of the car. He took a dirty blanket from the back of his car and raped me brutally. I have a lapse in my memory. I don't remember how many hours he drove before we reached the town and knocked on the door of a comfortable house. I was scared and confused. He told me that Miss Joe will arrange for my transportation to Europe and he left. An old lady took me to the small room with a bed and a wash basin and she asked me to wash myself, to put on the nightdress she gave me and to sleep till the next day when Miss Joe will come to meet me and arrange for my trip. The next morning I found out there were lots of boys and girls there. Miss Joe, a middle-aged blonde woman with strong European characteristics, explained to all of us that if we made it to Europe, we each had to pay 20,000 euros. We'll be well treated and safe. We'll have the opportunity to go to college and work part-time in shops or restaurants. Some older than me people said no, but I said I was okay. I was asked to sign a form and then the old lady of the house asked me to take off my clothes and she took many photos of me naked. Those were the rules of the borders, she said. An old bus was waiting for us. We got in till finally we reached Tallinn. We were placed somewhere which resembled a hostel. They treated us with the worst cruelty you can imagine. Everything Miss Joe said, that we will be treated well and that we will be safe, it was all wrong. It was a lie. We were trapped in that place, in that country for 3 months. We were there and a lot of girls were raped by different men who were visiting the place at night. As for myself, I was blackmailed by the man who owned the hostel, saying that if I didn't sleep with him every night, he would not bring me to Europe. He was raping me every single night for 3 months. From there, we were then taken to another city. I wanted to get away but I couldn't. I had no money, no phone. I didn't even know where I was to escape to. Until one day I met a man who was willing to listen to my story. I asked him to help me get away from the hell I was trapped into, and he felt pity for me. He said that the only thing he could do was to pay for my boat ticket to cross over to Sweden, if I agreed to live and had sex with him for a month. I became his sex slave, but at the end he kept his promise. On the boat I found a girl who was making the journey for the second time. A miserable human being with big eyes, the only noticeable characteristics. She told me we were going to be used as prostitutes and that I should not talk to the madams and that I had to stay inside the camp in which they would put us in. I was sick of my body. I hated myself. But I was determined to make it and start my life again. When we arrived on shore, a woman who was a social worker approached me. I told her my story and that I owed a woman named Miss Jo money. I was taken from the camp and put into a safe refugee house with a good family. I was well looked after and I hope that one day I will meet them again and thank them for their support. They helped me to go to Birmingham in the UK. A close friend of my family, legal immigrants for years now, agreed to help me. He's a psychiatrist working at the university there and his wife is a teacher. They have no children and they treat me with love. I am grateful to them and I try my best not to disappoint them. Currently, I am attending therapy sessions. I go to school. I work part-time in the cafeteria of the university. I met some lovely girls from all over the world and I never hesitate to share my story. I owe it to my dignity which the war, the poverty and the people destroyed it completely. I hope that one day, if the wounds heal, to go back home and fulfill my dream.